Welcome back. So in this video I will be doing some hand lapping on the spindle mount. In the previous episode I explained why I want to do this. So it's basically to create a perfect mating surface between the two pieces of the spindle mount. This is going to be actually my first attempt in lapping. I watched a lot of videos online and read quite a bit about lapping and how it's done, but this is going to be my first try of this process really. So there are various ways of doing lapping. Obviously I will be just creating a bonding surface between two similar parts or two mating faces. So I'm not creating a flat surface or anything like that. I just want to have the perfect mating between two faces really. So that's what we want to do. So for this I will just tilt this camera down. Right. We've got audio, so I'll just put this to the side. So these are our pieces. One of them is this piece. This is I've used a double-sided tape to just fix it to this tabletop, and this is the other piece. So this has a radius and this has a matching radius. So when these two go on top of each other like that, they need to have the perfect mating surface. Right, so I bought some lapping fluid off of Amazon. There were quite a lot of good comments about this stuff. There were a few concerning negative comments, but I took a leap of faith and then I went with it. The various grits of sort of lapping diamond paste mixed with a lubricant type of oil. So there are various grits of them. I'm not going to be using all of them, and I'm not going to I'm not going to go down to like half a micron or something. So I'll start with something a bit high in grit. I think there's like 20 or even 40 grit in there, and then I'll sort of do a finishing pass with like a 3 or a 2 or something like that. I have my trusty roller thingamajig here. You need some ink as well, so I've got some Parker ink in here. So the idea of the ink is that I will apply some ink on this, but not directly. I will tell you that why, and then we will move this back and forth on this and see if we can find any high spots. So the reason why we are not applying the ink directly is because then the ink can bulge and create a big bubble. So I will pour the ink, a little bit of it, on this flat surface, and then I'll use this roller to sort of create a very thin layer of ink, and then we will bring that ink with the roller and apply it to this surface, and then we will just move this back and forth and try to find the high spots and see if actually we've got a good mating face already or not, or whatever. So let's try that. So I'll just pour a tiny bit of ink. Come on. Okay, it should be more than enough. Right, my trusty blue roll. Yeah, just get rid of that. Yeah, this ink is quite runny actually. The viscosity is very, very, very low. Let me just mix that to the bunch as well. I wanted something with low viscosity in mind, that's why I went for this ink, but I think this is a bit too low, I think. But let's do that. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work really, because this is really runny. But we'll give it a go. We'll see if we can try to concentrate the ink in one of the spots or somewhere on this surface. I'm just trying to have like a relatively even pattern on this. Don't know, maybe if I let it dry a bit it would be better, maybe. Maybe if we let it dry. Just blow on it a bit. All right, let's give it a go. I'm not applying any pressure, I'm just gently rolling this back and forth. Right, interesting. So it kind of looks like it's a relatively good pattern. I mean, it grabs when I put these two pieces together, it actually grabs. So these two actually have a very good mating surface already. Yeah, this is a relatively even pattern. I mean, I can see a bit more ink in that corner. Yeah, you can see some more ink in that corner compared to the rest of it, which means that these two areas should be a lower area. Yeah, same sort of result. So you can see there's more concentration in these areas, a little bit in this corner, but the middle is relatively even. So let's start doing some lapping and see what we can do a bit later, and maybe by that time this ink stuff would be a bit more dry. So okay, I'm just going to use blue roll to wipe off the ink off of this. Ooh, this is moving a bit. All right, let's get the 40 grit out. 40. This is grid 40, which is I think the highest one. I'll just wipe away this as well a bit. All right. Okay. Can I? Yeah, I can a bit, to some extent. Right. Apply some of it on this as well. Just trying to create an even layer. Good enough. Ooh. Yep. The glue gave away. Yeah, we can't do it like that. Right. The glue wasn't strong enough, the tape, basically. So I'll just use some super glue. Didn't want to use super glue, but there's no choice really. Open, or probably need to chop the head. That should create a strong bond. Just let this dry for a sec. These usually take up to 5 to 10 seconds to dry up. Yeah, this is not going anywhere now. Right, let's continue. So with lapping, you want to move your pieces a bit all the time, continuously. You don't want to be going back and forth on the same spot. That's what I've learned anyway. That's why I do this sort of movement. And in the end, it should actually, when we go to the lower grit, to the smaller grit, it should create a very polished surface as well. To create a very high-end surface finish. But yeah, lapping is just a manual, labor-intensive type of work. Hopefully fortunately this piece has got a good sort of grab handle already built into it. I don't apply any pressure to it, I just gently roll it back and forth. Just apply a little bit more. So we've got more in these areas and less in this area, which means that this middle area is a little bit higher than these sided ones. So to these two sides are a bit lower than the middle part by the looks of this. Can zoom in. Since it's the same radius, I can just like rotate it like that. Oh, oh, this is. It is sticking so hard. Wow, this has already created some better results. I mean, if I just do that, wow. Wow, it's amazing. It's not coming off at all. Look. Yeah, you can see the pattern is a lot more even now. Whereas before, you can see that this is now the same. I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. So this middle section is darker. This H that has been formed is darker than these two areas. So these two spots are our high spots, and these are sort of the same height. So we need to keep doing this until it all looks even, and you've got the same thing on the other side as well. So you can see this area is a bit higher and this area is a bit higher as well, and then this H shape form is quite sort of on the same height. So we just need to keep on doing this until we get an even form. Look, it's getting much better now. Yeah. I think with this grit, I think we're done now, by the looks of it. Let me see if I can apply some pressure to see if they bond together or not. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I think this is quite even looking to me now. Wow, it grabs so hard. This is what you want. A perfect mating surface, or two perfect mating surfaces. Great, I think we can go to a lower grit now. Quite happy with this now. So let's start wiping these things off. So this was the W40 or the 40 grit diamond. Do you think I should go to like a 10 and then to maybe like a 2 or a 1? I mean, I'm not looking for like a mirror polished surface. That's not the aim of this exercise. an optical device called an optical flat, which is just looks like a piece of glass, a very thick piece of glass. And with that, when you do some lapping, with that you can easily determine how flat the surface has become. But obviously this has a curvature, so the optical flat doesn't really tell us much. Well, doesn't tell us anything, because this is not a flat surface. Usually lapping is used to create a very good flat surface, but we were not really interested in that. However, with that said, can you see these lines that has been formed? That's quite interesting. That's what an optical flat shows you. These lines, which we have like sort of an even pattern. I wasn't expecting to see something like this, to be honest. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, I can see there's some lines clearly. Wow. So let's go to grit W10. So this is a lower grit from the previous one. What you don't want to do is to sort of rubbing the middle part more than the side part. That's why when I'm going on one side, I go a bit further than the middle section. So now that we've got a relatively even distribution of the abrasive material, I'll just try and move a bit less. Yeah, you can see we've got a little bit of a high spot there and a little bit here. So I'll just try to continue with this. Yeah, a bit more in these two corners, but the rest of it is quite even. I can actually feel the cushion of the air that has been pushed around when I'm going back and forth. This is just grabbing so hard now, it doesn't want to come apart. Which is always a good sign for what we're trying to do. Yeah, still can see a little bit of high spots on these two corners. Looking on this one, yeah, I can see the lines forming, but yeah, you can see the lines. But this spot is a little bit lower, I guess. Let's apply a little bit more of this grade number 10. Or grit number 10. I'll just put more on these sides. We've got a little bit too much of this stuff, I think. It's a bit excessive now, I think. It's building up. Just get rid of some of it. Yeah, it looks like a more even pattern now. Let's see how good it grabs. If I apply some good pressure. Ooh, oh, it's not coming off. Yeah, it looks like a good. Yeah. Let me rotate as well. Yeah, I think it looks like an even. pattern now. Yeah, it does look like it. The only high spot that remains, I think it's only this area. It's just a tiny bit of size of a small coin. Good. I think we can go one grit lower. It's got a weird smell, the paste. this is 1. I believe I'm right in saying that the lower the number it is, the less, the smaller the the diamond particles are. Yeah, this feels a lot less abrasive. So yeah, I must be right. This is a lot easier to move back and forth compared to the 2 previous ones. One of the reasons is actually maybe it's a bit too much of this stuff on it, and when that wears off it'll start sticking again. But yeah, the pattern looks very, very even. You can see that. Not sure how if it's visible through the camera. Oh God. Wow. Oh gosh, it's sticking. It's sliding very, very smoothly and easily. There's no friction whatsoever. But then try to lift it apart like that. I'll put a little bit of pressure right there, and now try to lift it apart. It won't come off. So that's what you want. Yeah, I would say it's a smooth and even pattern on it. Yeah, quite an even looking pattern if I can lift it apart. Yeah, I can't see any high spots as such. Of any sort. Yeah, I think I would call that a success. We're not after a mirror finish, surface finish. So let's just get rid of this stuff. Clean it up as best as I can. And then put it back on. got a big bottle of thinner somewhere. I might want to get rid of this oil with the thinner. Yeah, I like this pattern that has been shaped. Looks very similar to those optical flats, the thing that you could see. I wonder if it means the same thing. Right, where's my thinner? Looks quite shiny. I wonder if I should have continued until I got that pattern all the way through. Maybe it's only sitting in the middle. Maybe that's what it means. And I can always continue for an hour or so. Let's see. Put a little bit of pressure. Does want to sort of stick, but then it comes right off. Just like a gauge block when you move it back and forth. Let me just do that. It does want to stick. Yeah, it's sticking, definitely. We've got that pattern that you can see there, but it doesn't continue all the way through. We've got a huge one here and then a huge one there, but there's some missing spots there and these corners, so I wonder if that means, see if it sticks. So it doesn't want to stick on this side, but how about that side? Same. How about in the middle? It's a bit weird. And I was expecting to get a better surface finish. Maybe we should go down to a lower grit. Let's get rid of this excessive. let's go. So we did try with number 1. Let's go down to number 0.5. Strange. I can see still high spots in there and there. But then I thought in the previous one that we did, we got rid of that. Maybe I should apply a bit more pressure. Yeah, I still can see two high zones. Interesting, I thought we got rid of that. It's the same story in this one. You can see the lines. The lines have a odd shape, so they look like an hourglass. Other than that one, you can see a couple of lines forming on that one as well. I mean, if this is the... I mean, this grabs very, very well. I guess this is a very boring video. Just a guy rubbing two pieces of metal together. Is it me, or do you think the lines are getting wider? Which means covering more area. Is it because the way I lift it, I create that high spot? Let me just lift it from the bottom this time, yeah? Just go all the way around here. Do that a bit, like for, I don't know, 50 stroke or something. And then lift from this bottom this time. Not really. I still can see that and that. And now there's a line, definitely a line forming in the middle. Maybe now it's actually doing its job. Maybe after all this time it's actually doing something. So it's actually sitting on these 3 spots. And the rest of it is just too low. Shall we put more number 10 paste on it as well? Just for fun. So if these two are high, so we want to rub it on these areas more than everywhere else. Right. I've got no idea at this stage. I think this is getting bigger. I think this is getting bigger. I think we're touching on these corners as well. But then I could be wrong. Definitely getting harder to rip it apart. Yeah, I think these two areas are connecting. There's a line forming in the middle, which I've got no idea what that means. And yeah, I think there's also a pattern in the middle of this. I mean, the spindle is in the middle. The forces will be transferred to this and then to the middle section. So for us, the middle section is more important than the sides to absorb the forces. Let's just clean it up a bit, see what we've got. I've been rubbing these together for over an hour now, so it should have a relatively good mating phase now. Just going to get rid of the excessive amount, not all of it. I'm going to rub them together for another couple of minutes. And then I'll wash them clean again to see what we've got. Yep, there we are. So I think it's obvious then that only these two faces are mating, and the rest of it is just low spots. When we've got too much of that stuff, we can't see it properly. But we can clearly see it now. So you put it like that, where it wants to sit, you push it, and then yeah, it grabs. But it's only those two spots. Yeah, you can clearly see now. It's only this area and this area that is sitting. The rest is just lower. So we need to apply more paste in these areas. So I'll just go for the 40 grit. Should bring these lower. And I'm just going to focus moving it in this spot rather than just rubbing the whole thing together. Maybe I'll get a better result if I do that. Yeah, the 40 grit is definitely more abrasive. It's like sandpaper now, which is what we want really. Quickly get rid of those high spots. Something's changing. You can see a little bit of a high spot there now, and less in these areas. Then that is working. Right, let's get rid of some of this excess stuff. See what we've got. Right, now we're getting somewhere. Now look, we've got a high spot there, high spot there, high spot there, and high spot there. It's looking more like a more even surface now. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. I hope. Let's let go. Yeah, high spot, high spot, high spot. It's a lot more even now. So I've got a high spot there, high spot and high spot and high spot. So I'll just apply some 40 on these sort of the highest spots. Just moving back and forth in the light so I can see how the light plays and bounces off of it. A little bit of it there, tiny bit there, and then there, and then some in this corner. Yeah, I think it looks okay. Yeah, you can see the same pattern on this one as well. I can see some high spots on this top area. And that's it, I guess. Interesting. Remove some of the excess of the paste. Yeah. Now we're talking. So I think we've got a very good distribution now. We've got a lot of high spots there, many small ones, some in that corner, quite a few there, quite a few there, and a few in the middle, sort of scattered. I think this is a better result, definitely now, and it grabs better as well. Yeah, it's a lot more even now. You can see how the light bounces off of it. These scratch lines, they're all visible throughout the part, sort of these parallel lines. Right. Yeah, even though it's my first time doing this, but it's very similar to sort of hand scraping. So you're looking for high spots and just trying to get rid of them. To have like an even high and low spot distribution throughout the part. This is going through my hand, so I'll just put some gloves on. You can't tell when there's too much of this stuff on the part, but once you give it a wipe and then you get rid of the aluminium chips that's been created and the diamond stuff, when you get rid of that, then the lines and the high spots become visible. Oh wow, I would say this is a success now. I can see high spots, high areas here, 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 here. So the only low spots are sort of this area, that, and that. The rest are just even high spots. Okay, we're getting there. I think this should be enough actually, to be honest, but having OCD means that you have to always get this right. Yeah, but by the way of light bouncing off of it, I can tell where the high spots and low spots are now. Which means we're getting there. Yeah, I switched to those smaller grids very early on. Shouldn't have done that. And we don't need that really. That's for making something to shine and polish, mirror polish, that sort of thing. We don't want any of that. We just want to have a good distribution and even distribution of the high spots and the low spots. That's what we're after. Right, don't know if you can see this. We are sitting around the area, a bit less on the top side and also in the middle, which means there's this patch and this patch which isn't really at this on the same height as the rest of it. Let me just do a bit of tapping on the corners. Yeah, I would say that conclusion is correct. I think we've got a very good and even distribution. Yeah. Yes, I think this is good now. Or good to the extent that we want it to be good. Right, I think I'm gonna do one pass of the either level 1 or level 2, something like that, just to give it a better, smoother sort of finish. And this is not to achieve accuracy, this is just to achieve a better mating surface between the two parts, to allow the machining forces to be distributed more evenly and easier. So accuracy and flatness or parallelism or anything like that is not the idea of what I'm trying to do here. The only reason I'm doing this is just I want to have a good mating phase between the two parts. I think I've got rid of those lines as well. Remember those horizontal lines that we were seeing? Can't see them anymore. So maybe they were not good things to be seen. Let's just give this a number 1, I think should be fine. Let's put it mostly on the high spots. And then it'll even it out itself. Right. it should be enough. Yeah, I think it's a very even distribution now. There are some lines like there's a little bit of line there and then a line there and there, but I think overall we're sitting all around the four faces and the majority of the center of it, which should give us enough. Yeah. There's only this little middle section that is a bit low, but the rest of it is pretty good. So yeah, I think it's fine now. Happy with that. I just wipe this clean and see if we can get a final test before we call it a day. Yeah, the lines totally disappeared. Those horizontal lines. Don't know if it's a good sign that it comes off like super easily now, or if it's a bad sign. It doesn't want to grip at all. So does it mean that it's not actually mating? Or maybe the high spots and the low spots are so evenly distributed that air is just going through them easily allowing it to come apart easily. Don't know, because the surface finish doesn't look that good. It's full of scratches, but very even looking scratches throughout the surface. So that's what I mean by we have achieved what we wanted to do. We've definitely achieved that. See if we can try this ink again, even though I'm not really sure if this is gonna work. Alright, does this tell us anything? Well, yes. There are a lot of lines here that doesn't have ink on them. And also surfaces up there and then down here and there and there and there. So I think it is telling us something. Let's do a bit of that. And then bring it to where it should be. Do a bit of tapping. Now you can see it's sitting there and it's sitting there and it's sitting in the middle. It's like this line sort of square that has a bit of a low spot to it. That's not too much actually, it's only a tiny bit. The rest of it is sitting pretty good, I would say. So yeah, I think this ink stuff is also telling us something. I can feel some scratch marks throughout the whole thing. It's like high spots and low spots. Not that it's like scratched or anything, but sort of an even. It's like loads of little tiny high spots on the surface of it. It's got the same feel. It grabs a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. Throughout the whole thing. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Let's see if we can remove this now. Yep. Yeah, the double-sided tape didn't do much really. I was hoping that it would do better. I think by the rubbing of two pieces together we've created some heat, and this is now becoming a bit sticky, which ideally should just like peel off like this, but now it's leaving some residue, which isn't good really. But anyway, I've got thinner here so I can just like clean it off. Yeah, I thought that this is gonna be like a really shiny flat surface in the end, but or by flat I mean matching curvature, but it wasn't really. It was more like a hand scraping result. This is annoying. And I really don't want to use anything against this surface because this is a very nice, even though it's got machining marks, I think they've done a very good job with the surface finish. You don't feel a thing. It's very smooth, super smooth. There we go. Just need to knock these off. They come off right away. The glue on the corner. Right. Cleaning these holes. resonates. Interesting. Okay, I think this is the last hole. Alright, let's wash it off with some thinner Let's have a final look. So as I said, I thought that I was going to get a sort of a finish like two sort of gauge blocks. That when you rub two gauge blocks together, they kind of grab onto each other and sort of become one piece. And obviously gauge blocks are lapped as well, but maybe I should have continued to get to a lower stage, but what I got was an even surface, which has a finish more similar to a hand scraping finish. So these two are not really actually, well, it somehow, you saw that it was lifted up a bit, but it definitely grabs on. I mean, that's something right there, because these two are sort of grabbing onto each other to some extent, but because I think all of those scratch lines that has been created, the air can easily go through it and then reduce the vacuum effect. But I think this is a success, I would call it. And yeah, it's definitely catching and grabbing after, you know what, actually when you push it against each other, you can feel the cushion of the air between the two, so that's something. But yeah, I think that's for what we want to do, I think that's enough. I think that's close enough. I had the CMM reports of these two radii, the machined radii, and they were pretty close to each other anyway, you know, to start with. So I think by this sort of final finish that we've applied to it, I think we're good to go, really. So yeah, thanks for joining in, and let me just move this upwards. Yeah, you need to have that main camera, right? So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. So please subscribe to the channel so you would get the notifications of every new live stream, and I am planning to do some videos at some point as well, so like smaller, shorter episodes of every single thing, but I think it's still too early for that. I believe this week, this coming week, I will be receiving those two broken pieces, so fingers crossed this time around they come in one piece and they're not broken. So I should be able to start mounting everything on the granite sort of in the coming week or the week after. I mean, I've got all of the nuts and bolts all came, and I put them in these boxes. So I bought a load of these boxes and sort of organized them in these boxes. So I've got a lot of nuts and bolts, and I should be able to start putting the structure together. So yeah, please click on the subscribe button and continue on this journey with me. Okay, catch you in the next one. Cheers.